Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Cat's Track. We post an interview with an amazing citizen each weekday for your daily inspiration. Today, I would like to introduce you to one of my dearest friends, Cathie Saroka. Cathie was born in Winnipeg and grew up in Golden, BC. Besides her amazing family, she is most passionate about entrepreneurship and helping people that want to start their own businesses. Cathie tells me that she's had so much help with her own business life and have benefited so much from others. She wants to pass along any of the things that she's learned on to others, paying it forward. So nice. Friends, you'll find her full bio attached. Cathie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, Catherine, for allowing me to be here. I'm excited about the opportunity.
Awesome. So ready for the questions?
You bet.
Perfect. So the first one, what has been your greatest challenge in the last few months?
Well, obviously, we've all faced many challenges in the last few months, but I can honestly say that because of this, our company is stronger today than it ever has been before. The reason for this, I think, is because of all the help that I got from so many people throughout our whole journey. And Catherine, you're definitely one of those that's way top on the list. So in March, when all this first started, I honestly had no idea what steps to take, what the world was going to look like, how I was going to keep my people safe, any of that kind of thing. And the only path that I could actually see back then was to get out there and get as much knowledge as I could in the shortest time possible. What I learned from that, though, was that when you simply just reach out and ask, our community has so many people that are willing to share their knowledge and their experience and their expertise with you. It's a pretty amazing place that we live in right now. So the challenge itself was actually building a plan to keep my people safe. I run a company here in Calgary, and we've got about 100 people that work with us. And then keeping them safe, like physically, mentally, financially, all of that is really important. And in time of great uncertainty, it was quite challenging to figure out how to do that. What was super eye-opening for me, though, was the sheer amount of help that I had, as I said, in building the plan from people both inside and outside of our company. Like inside our company, we had so many people that really stepped up. They had their skills, their ideas, and it just simply snowballed over and over again with people being accountable, doing the right thing to keep each other safe, helping our customers. I mean, they really stepped up like never before. So I'm just so proud of them for all of that.
Aww.
Yeah. Truly what was inspiring for me too was that right before all this hit, we did a lot of building and communicating our vision and our company, our values. And we just had finished sharing it with about 100 or so people in the company just a few weeks before the shutdown. And normally life doesn't actually give us such a test. And I'm really proud of all our people and how they stepped up to the many, many challenges that we faced. They truly lived our values. And I don't know whether it was the confidence that they had in the company or in themselves, but they stepped up. They helped and supported one another and our customers, and they truly made this a much better situation than it could have been for sure. Now that things are a bit more normal, though, our next challenge is going to be trying to get back on track with our growth strategy and navigating the changes in the world navigating how to do that with the changes that are going to go on in the world. And the world maybe doesn't want us to continue with what we're planning to do. But, seeing what our people have done over the last few months, it gives me supreme confidence that we're all going to be able to do this as well.
Aw, that's awesome. And you have a great team, Cathie. I've met so many of them, and been at your Stampede barbecue. You've got an amazing culture there.
Oh, we have the best people in the whole city, I'm sure.
I love it. That's so nice. And what are the things that you'd like to share with our audience today? You said you had a couple things.
I do have a couple. The first one is, to do with business. As you know, I really support local business and entrepreneurs and people that are building things that maybe didn't exist before. And it's really a passion of mine. But right now, what I'm seeing is that our local businesses really need our help. I live close to 17th Avenue, and every time I walk down there, I just see, more and more businesses that are shutting down and shutting down for good. Businesses that have been open 30 and 40 years that just haven't been able to make it through all the challenges that have happened in the last few years. Those that are miraculously still in business, they need our help and they need our support. So I hope that people would be able to use their dollars to to actually help where it really matters the most. When we look at our entrepreneurs and business owners, they are the ones that are often, creating something where there was nothing before and raising the bar for everybody. And when they need us, it's my opinion that it's our responsibility to give them that helping hand that they need. And as business owner myself, I never know when I'm going to need a helping hand as well. And I have over the last few months. So, the experiences I've had with the support and help that I've had, I would love to see all of us going out there and giving that same help and support to our local businesses. And the local events as well are going to need our support when we're able to actually get out there and help them. Our artists and musicians are going to need our help. Catherine, you and I are on the board of the American Chamber of Commerce. And, the couple of events that we've had, we've chosen some charities to be able to help because, again, that's something that there's not a lot of money in the city right now that's going out to charities and they're all struggling. So, using our money to vote for what really is meaningful is something that I would just love to see.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, well, thank you. And, the second thing is as we move back into normal-ish life, I hope that there are things that I don't lose. And not just charging ahead with our actions. I was able to connect with a bunch of different people and groups and things that we were able to talk about in a much deeper way. And we really learned from one another. Throughout all of this, as we've had this extra time, many of us went out and we educated ourselves more about the issues so that we can be better prepared to deal with what's happening and also to support our people in a positive way. So, reaching out and getting help from different people with different ideas, as well as, it's important to me that I also add value to all of that, and sharing my own experiences and learning is really going to help us to have better companies and better communities if we can keep this up. My opinion is that more brains are going to get us much better decisions in the end.
I love it. Thank you, Cathie. And just to circle back on the American Chamber, I want to applaud you on all of your amazing effort with marketing communications and doing all the heavy lifting. And you and your team have just been absolutely amazing. And I'd love to hear from you what you see is our vision, or what's some goals over the next few years with AmCham from your perspective.
Well, AmCham, if anybody's not familiar with it, it's the American Chamber of Commerce in Canada, and we are running the Western chapter, and that is Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, and the Arctic. We're really rebuilding it from the ground up. There's been, as you know, lots of challenges within Alberta in the last few years, and AmCham kind of petered out a little bit, and so we're trying to revive and rebuild. Our membership is business owners and companies that want to do business cross-border. So really our biggest trading partner is the US. So helping those companies to be able to get the connections and the expertise necessary to be able to, Canadian businesses working in the US, and then US companies that want to come and work up here as well. So we're facilitating that with all kinds of different things, with events and networking and professional development. Our biggest challenge right now is going to be rebuilding our membership. The more members we have, the more support that we can provide to everybody. And so trying to, we've got some goals and objectives over the next 12 to 18 months of, increasing our membership, looking at membership too from not only Alberta, where there was, in the past a big population of members, but also exploring the other areas and bringing some of those into our fold as well, and being able to help entrepreneurs and companies to get to that next level. And saying Canada and the US are the two biggest trading partners is true, but one of our objectives is also to be able to do that, have that same support for companies that want to do business in other countries as well. There's, I think it's 112 different countries that have American chambers in them. And again, that's, if a company wants to do business in Japan or the UK or South Korea, we want to be able to help facilitate that as well. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us, but it's pretty exciting. And it really fuels my passion for helping companies to be able to grow their businesses or start their businesses or do the next best thing that they want to do.
Thank you, Cathie. Well, it's obvious that you're very passionate about it. We've got an amazing board. What wonderful members so far that have already joined us, and we look forward to our first event. Maybe it's half virtual, half in person.
Maybe.
Anything is possible.
Everything is possible.
Everything is possible. And what is your good news, legacy story, or what's next story?
Well, Catherine, what I hope is next for all of us really is less judgment of one another and more support and understanding of the different situations that we're all in. All these situations have really brought to light that there are some real positive changes that we can make in our lives, and not just go on with business as usual, but work hard to be able to make this a better world and better life for all of us. All of us have faced a whole lot of challenges in the last few months. I know that I'm not alone in thinking that 2020 was going to be the best year ever. And actually, it turned out to be quite different than what all of us expected. I do think that we have a choice, though, whether we get stuck in the mindset of how bad things are, or whether we're able to use these situations as a place to learn and grow as a society. So on top of the COVID situation, we're also seeing a large global movement to tackle racism. In my opinion, it's been a long time in coming. For me, I first learned about racism when I was in grade 7. Like, I had no idea that it even existed before then. But it was in social studies class when I was given South Africa as a country to write a paper on. And, back in grade 7, that was a long time ago for me. I mean, I got all my research out of an encyclopedia, believe it or not. But when I found out what was actually happening in that area, I was appalled at the idea of apartheid, that somebody wouldn't be accepted in a society just because they were a different race. And it was mind-boggling to me. I had no idea that this even existed. And it was right around that time it started to open my eyes to the bigger world and what was really happening in it. And it wasn't the same as my little tiny world in Canada. So that's my experience as a young person. And since then, it's why I have rejected intolerance in other people based on any irrelevant trait. Whether it's race or religion or sexual orientation. To me, it's like separating people because you have curly hair and you have straight hair, so you have to be separated. Like, it's completely irrelevant. And I've never allowed this in my family. My kids are all grown and they've got the same beliefs around intolerance that I do. I certainly don't allow it in my company. And we've got the best, most diverse team of 100 people that I know of. But also I know that this isn't the norm in many places. But, because it may not be the norm, it doesn't mean that people are bad. It just means that people come from things that are based on their own experiences. So really suspending judgment and encouraging ourselves and others to talk and explore different ideas and experiences with an open mind can only benefit all of us. So in our company, we have a saying, listen to understand and communicate to enrich. And, if we are doing that, if we're really listening to truly understand what other people are dealing with and going through, then no question is a dumb question. If you are really, truly trying to learn something. In my own life, my boyfriend's Black and he's from the Caribbean. That society is so different that he's never had to deal with any of these race issues that we see happening in the US. Honestly, Catherine, his attitude is, if you don't understand that I'm the best, then there's something wrong with you. You know him, that's true.
Oh, yeah.
But he was really skeptical when all this first started because it was never an issue in his life. And, something I'm very proud of him for, though, he's a super smart man. And when he doesn't understand something, he goes out and he learns everything that he can about it. So he was out there talking to people and researching and looking and finding what is going on. And what he learned really opened his eyes about a situation and what it's looked like for hundreds of years for some people and what is still happening to this day. And, just because we here think that we're not, don't have to deal with that kind of stuff. We actually do. And we need to open our eyes and be part of the solution. So he and I both have many friends who are different races. I've got friends and family members who are gay. We've got friends who are different religions, but that doesn't make us separate. I mean, what's beautiful about all this is it brings us all together as we love and respect and learn from one another. And Catherine, I know this is what you call our love army. We all have one in some form. And we all have different experiences. We've got different ways of thinking, and embracing that really makes us better human beings. Really, for sure, it's important to suspend judgment of others, because we never know what their situation is. We never know what they're dealing with in life. But honestly, I think it's equally important that we extend that same courtesy to ourselves. And, throughout all of this, as a business owner, I had the responsibility through all these issues to stand up for my business and my people, and to do everything I could to make sure everybody was safe, physically safe, mentally, financially safe. I had to make sure the business continued to operate, and not only for myself, although I'm certainly glad to still have a paycheck, but also to make sure that our employees and customers knew that they could always count on us. And when things were tough, we had actions, we had purpose, we were fighting the good fight every single day. For my family too, there was also an added challenge of dealing with a death in the family that we didn't get a chance to process because it happened just as we were all in the thick of things. Now that things have become a bit more normalized, though, I'm finding that I personally am now dealing with the emotional part of everything that's going on. And what I've learned is that I have to give myself the mental and emotional space to process what's going on. So I have a very brilliant friend, and you know her too, Catherine, Lorna Johnson. She's got a psychology background, and she taught me that whatever doesn't get talked about gets acted out, and it's always in a negative way. So I believe that as leaders in the community, as leaders of businesses, we can let go of the self-judgment and deal with the emotional parts of ourselves in an intentional way, or we can poo-poo it, think that it's not an issue, and just know that it's going to come back later in some form. So for me, doing it intentionally gives me much more control over how I deal with the emotional aspects of all the stuff that's been going on in the world and in our family and in our work life. So what I'd really love to leave everybody with is twofold. First, understanding and support of each other and getting rid of judgment based on arbitrary things is going to get us much further as a healthy society. The second part of that is that as individuals, we've all got a role to play in fighting against intolerance in any form and making this a better world for us and our children to live in. Now, Catherine, I know that your passion is mental health, and you're fighting hard against the stigma of mental health and some of the protocols that we're using today that are just not healthy. And we know that every action we take has a ripple effect. Everything we say has an impact on somebody. And if we can change that narrative and change the stories, we can affect attitudes and change behaviors that may be negative just through education and talking with each other and understanding each other. And it sure isn't a quick fix. It's not an easy task, but it's up to every single one of us to be part of that solution. If we think that our voice doesn't matter as an individual, or that somebody else will take care of it, then I think that we're part of the problem. And if we stand by and we let things happen that are not right, attitudes and behaviors aren't going to change, and we aren't going to see the positive growth in the world that we're really looking for. So my hope is, as we continue to dig ourselves out of these challenging times, that we all figure out what it is that we're passionate about and what actions each of us is going to commit to help build healthier communities and to leave the world in a better place than when we got here.
Wow, you almost made me cry there. That was good. Awesome.
That was my hope too, to make Catherine cry.
Oh, yay. I always love crying, especially in public. You're awesome, Cathie. Thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you so much for the opportunity, Catherine. And thank you so much for what you're doing and helping everybody get their voices out there. What you're doing is really, really important for our whole society and our whole community. So thank you.
Thank you, Cathie. I love you.
I love you too.
Everybody, that was my dear friend, Cathie Saroka. Thank you so much for joining us today on Cat's Track, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.